Hello and welcome to chapter 5 in your syllabus. The name of this chapter is note making. So let us see the contents of this video. We will understand what is note making. Then we will understand what are the various advantages of note making. What are the strategies for note making. Then we will understand what is the difference between note making and note taking. Then we will try to understand what are the different styles of note making, and in detail we will see what is linear note making and non-linear note making. Then we'll also see the mechanics of linear note making. Basically we will see how linear notes are made in detail. And then there is another aspect which is summary, which is not included on the slide, in this content slide, mainly because it is short and it can be explained really fast. So let us begin. First I will read whatever is on the slide and then I will explain it to you. Note making is the practice of recording information from another source. So we understand that note making does not mean that you are creating original content. It means that you are reading something from another place. It may be a book, it may be a online lecture, or it may be a conference that you are attending. So the source is from somebody else and you are just you're just recording information from that particular source. This source can be any book, article, meeting, or any oral discussion. So like I said, it could be anything. It could be a book, it could be an article, it could be a meeting, it could be a conference, or any other such interactive sessions. A note making is a skill which improves by practicing. Aren't all skills like that? They all improve. The more we practice, we will get better at it. And it is an organization of main points for future use. So basically you make notes so that they can be used in future. For example, you make notes so that you can study better at the time of exams and you will not have to read everything in detail, isn't it? So by making notes, what do? We record the essence of the information. Essence means only the things that you think are important, or the main message or the main content of the information you will be recording in the form of notes. Basically, it means to record important details. It is not just about writing down everything you hear. It is a process of reviewing. You will review whatever you have understood, you will review whatever you have read or whatever you are hearing, connecting and analyzing ideas from your lectures or reading. So basically, notes, what you do, whatever you hear, you will write. Whatever you hear from that, what you think is important, you will write it down and you will analyze it and connect it to the other points of your notes. What does notes do? Making notes will help you to stay active and engaged during your lectures, reading and revision. It is an important study skill. Creating good quality notes can really cement your learning. Cement your learning means it gives you a very strong foundation. You will remember whatever you studied easily when you make notes. This is especially true when you're in a live class. Sometimes theory lectures can get boring. For example, English, this lecture, it can get boring. But as I talk, if you sit with a pen and paper and start making notes as I speak, you will keep yourself engaged, you will stay awake, and you will side by side end up studying a lot. And you won't have to keep on listening to this lecture again and again or reading your module again and again. So making notes is going to reduce your study time in future. Though it may sound like it is increasing your work right now, it will reduce your study efforts in the future. Let us see the next slide. Advantages of note making. So why is making notes important? I feel making notes is the most important part in studying any theory subject, mainly because when you study that subject first time, like when you read a chapter for the first time and then you will have to read it again to make notes, right? So that time you will focus more as you underline the important points, as you try to grasp those concepts in detail. So note making is a very, very important skill. During exam time, you won't have the time to read the whole syllabus as you become older and older and you start having books that are the size of a dictionary. So making notes becomes extremely important at that point in time. Let us see the advantages. Note making helps in keeping the information handy whenever we require, isn't it? You can make it in like small notebook and keep it in your pocket, and whenever you have time, if you are waiting for a bus, if you are traveling or anywhere, you can just pull it out and start reading. So information will be handy. It helps in concentrating, understanding, and provides a permanent record. So like I said, it will help you to concentrate if you're making notes like right now as I speak. It will help you to understand, and it will give you a permanent record. The notes that you make will stay with you lifelong. Note making format helps the writer to go through bulky documents quicker. So like I said, if you make notes, you can study faster. All sorts of big material, only important points if you jot down, it will help you to make your bulky documents. You will go through it quickly. It distinguishes between main points and details. So this we will see in detail later on. It distinguishes between main points means what? Whatever is your heading and whatever are the points under it, main points and details. So you will be able to differentiate between those things easily. Okay, let us move on to the next one. Strategies for effective note making. So how will you make notes effectively? First of all, you will have to read the text at least twice. At least, I am saying you may need to read it n number of times if the subject is complicated, or if you have not understood the concept clearly, you may have to read it more times. Frame a heading title based on the main idea. It should be short. So you need to write a heading for whatever notes you're making based on whatever the main idea is, and the title should be as short as possible. Look at how the main idea has been presented and developed. Normally there are 3 or 4 subordinate associated ideas, and you can frame subheadings based on this. So you read the text. Sometimes there is one main idea and uske niche there will be many other sub points. For example, let us take you're studying sole proprietorship. Abhi sole proprietorship, the concept will be there. फिर what it means, what are the features. Now features is your another subheading, and uske niche there will be another 10 points. So these are all your associated ideas. So you can frame subheadings based on these points. Write the points in a logical sequence. Why it is important? Because when you study, you are not going to read the entire text again. So if they are already in a logical sequence, it will be easier for you to study properly. Write in phrases or points only the information should be complete. So you don't have to copy the text as it is from the textbook. You're reducing your study time. So you only have to write keywords, or you have to write small sentences to get that entire idea. You don't have to copy the text. Please remember this. When you are making notes, do not copy sentences exactly as they are. What you need to do is you need to only write the main points or the main words, or you can make some acronyms out of that particular note so that it helps you study faster. Indent. That is suitably space and number the subheadings and subpoints. We will see indentation in detail later on, but indentation is nothing but leaving a margin. So you leave enough space between subheadings and subpoints, so it becomes easier for you to read. Ensure that you do not change the author's intended meaning. Very important. While making notes, you are not supposed to change the meaning of what the text is or what the idea is. You have to shorten it, but you don't have to change the meaning. Abbreviate often repeated terms or lengthy words. Abbreviation means to use short forms. So you can use short forms for terms which are repeated, or you can shorten lengthy words. Our generation, which is the SMS generation, is very good at abbreviating words, and there are various ways in which we can abbreviate words. So that also we are going to see in detail as we move on further. So basically, up till now, we have understood that note making is not writing the entire idea down as it is, but it is selecting what we think is more important or what is the essence of that text. So this is what note making is about. You are not supposed to copy the entire text, but you are only supposed to write the main points or the points that you think will help you to study easily and better in future without having to look at the original text. Getting it? Okay, so let us move on. Now we will try to understand what is the difference between note making and note taking. What do you think could be the difference? Firstly, note taking is a very passive process. Why passive process? Because when you take notes, let us take the example that you are attending a conference, say on GST. In between, when GST was newly introduced, there were a lot of conferences happening on what is GST all about. So when you attend one of these conferences, you hear the speaker and you will write down whatever the speaker is saying and you think that is important. So this is very passive. You're listening and you're only writing. But note making is an active process. Why is it an active process? Because when you read a text, you firstly try to understand it. You try to differentiate between what is important and not important, and you will make abbreviations, or you will make short forms, or you will make some picture, or you will draw something, or you will make some signs. So you are being creative in your own way to make notes. So this is the first major difference between note making and note taking. Note taking is a passive process, whereas note making is a very active process. Note taking, you are copying it from original source, and note making, may you organize in your own words and way. So note taking, it is copied from original source, but in note making, what you are doing is you are organizing those ideas. Like I said, you can draw a picture, or you can make some signs, or you can use words, you can make acronyms. So you are basically organizing those notes in your own words and in your own way, so that when you read that in future, it becomes easier for you to study. Next, notes being taken are often unselective. So basically, note taking is what at that moment, whatever you feel is important, you're writing, because you do not know the entire context or the entire message in that particular conference. At that moment, at the spur of the moment, whatever you feel important, you're just jotting it down. So you're being unselective, right? But when you make notes, what happens is that because you have the entire text or the entire information in front of you, you can make connections. You can make more sense of the idea that you have in front of you, and therefore you can organize it in a better way. So notes being taken are often unselective, whereas notes are being organized in a way that makes more sense or leads to more connections. Next point, tries to cover as much information without highlighting. So note taking may you will try to write down as many things as possible without highlighting any particular word or text, because like I said, you do not know the entire text or the entire idea in that conference. So whatever you can write as fast as you can, you'll just start writing when you take notes. But in note making makes it easier to distinguish between important issues and details, because you know the entire idea or the entire text. You can distinguish between what is important and what is not so important, or what can be uh, rejected, or what can be substituted. All these things you can do in note making. Note taking, it is the first stage leading to note making, and note making is the final stage. So what happens, you take notes first of all in a conference, and then when you go home and you read it again, you will make another set of notes. So you will make notes at this point. You will first take notes in a conference, you will go home, you will read, and then you will make your own notes. So basically, you will arrange all the information that you have taken down during the course of the conference, and you will make another set of notes in a much more organized and concise manner. Are you getting the difference between note making and note taking? So this is how you can differentiate between these two processes. Let us move on to the next slide. Styles, linear note making. Now there are various ways in which different people make notes. There are hundreds of ways, and no one way is the right way or correct way. People have preferences in studying. For example, some people study better with visuals. Like if you watch a video, or if you watch a film, you can remember it better. Some people study better by listening. So if they listen to a speaker talking or they attend a lecture, they can remember all those things much easily, while other people can study easily by reading. So whatever is your learning preference, that is the way people will make notes. But in your syllabus, there are a few styles of making notes which have been covered. So I am covering all of those in this video. So the first one is linear note making. Let us read what is on the slide and then I will explain. Linear note making is the most common style of note making used by people. Notes are written down the page one line after the other in a structured manner. So basically it is like having a textbook. You will make notes one after the other, ek ke niche ek, on one line you will write one sentence. You will have headings, subheadings and all these things. So such notes include headings for main ideas and concepts, subheadings for main points within those ideas. And linear notes include use of keywords, underlining, indentation and use of abbreviations. So linear note making is the simplest form of note making and is used by most of the people. Notes are presented in a structured manner, one line after another. So जैसे हम लोग टेक्स्ट बुक पढ़ते हैं उसी तरह से we will make linear notes one after the other on one sentence we will keep on writing एक के नीचे एक. Here a person writes notes by using headings, subheadings and points. So you will use subheadings, headings, points 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use any style of making points, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, Roman numbers and all these things. There is no one way of making points under linear notes. Then you will use keywords, indentation and abbreviations. These are the most important features in linear making notes. And you write notes in a downward direction in the same order in which a person receives information. The thing is, linear note making is the most common style because whenever you go for a conference, whatever information you will hear, you will write it down as you hear it, right? Because you don't know the entire script of that particular conference. So ek ke niche ek you will go on writing as you hear it. So therefore it is the most common style of note making. And you will because you want to keep up with the speed of the speaker, you will use a lot of short forms, you will use keywords, you will use abbreviations and all these sorts of things. So let us move on to the next one. Linear note making में we are seeing an example कैसे लिखते हैं. So there is a image on the screen. It is talking about body language and oral presentations. So body language is your main heading. It conveys your state of mind लिखा हुआ है. And then what are the other features in body language? What are the things? Movement is covered, facial expressions, gestures, posture and all these things are there. So you see movement subheading is there, and under that there are about 5 points, and in that also some points have sub points. So this is the way you will make linear notes. This is the way generally all of us make notes when we are in a lecture, right? So linear note taking is a process of writing down information in the order in which you receive it, right? So this is how you will make linear notes. Styles of non-linear note making. So another concept is non-linear. So like you have seen linear, you saw that it is one line after the other. So non-linear, this expression is very self-explanatory. It means that they will not be one line after the other. They will have some another pattern. It will not be line after line. So let us see what is there on the slide. Non-linear notes have some distinctive patterns. They present and connect ideas in diagrammatical non-linear forms. So basically you will be making notes without the use of sentences, but you will make it through the use of diagrams or some other design or some other way in which you can learn better. Non-linear styles of note making include mind maps, tables, flowcharts and tree diagrams. So like you can see, here the importance is given more to diagrams and not to sentences, and therefore it is called non-linear. What is happening? It enables you to see a large amount of information on one page and the connections between the key concepts can be shown easily. So as we see each of these types of non-linear note making in the slides to come, you will understand what this last sentence means. It means that you can see a lot of information. In a diagram, it is often possible, correct? You can put in a lot of details in a diagram. In small ways, you can chunks में information can be portrayed. So that is the importance of having non-linear style of note making. Let us see. Non-linear note making में first we are seeing mind mapping. The aim of non-linear notes is to group subjects, ideas and key topics in the order of relevance or association. It's not there on the slide. I'm explaining what is non-linear notes. So the aim is what? You want to group subjects and ideas which are related to each other. And non-linear notes help to break down information into manageable chunks and link them to other concepts. Understanding? They are helping you to break down a lot of information in small groups or chunks, and then you will link them to each other. So now let us first understand what is a mind map. So in the image you can see there is a subject which is the main idea, and then there are small nodes, or you can say sub ideas that are connected to it, right? So let us understand. A mind map is a diagram used to visually organize information. Visually organize information means whatever you are reading, in your mind you will create an image about it and try to portray it in a minimalistic space and in a small way rather than writing big sentences. A mind map is hierarchical and shows relationships among pieces of the whole. So as you can see, for example, when I say birthday party, first what is your subject? Your subject is birthday party. Then ideas, cake kaisa hona chahiye, decoration how will it be, then what will be your dress theme or dress code or whatever. Then gifts, what related to the idea you want to keep some return gifts, right? So like that. So this is how you can make a mind map. And then related to cake, you will have 2-3 ideas. For example, if your birthday theme is a princess party, so cake you want to do, whether you want to do a frozen cake or you want to do a Snow White cake. Then decoration, what kind you want to make. You want to make a castle, or you want to make some other, I don't know what else you can make, but like that you can connect these ideas. It is often created around a single concept drawn as an image in the center of a blank page, to which associated representations of ideas such as images, words and parts of words are added. So basically, one big idea is there in the middle, and then you will keep on making small associations related to that particular topic, and one big image will be formed out of it. You can write words or you can draw or anything. Mind mapping is a very effective way of learning any new concept. For example, try this. It will really help you with your CA studies. For example, if you are studying about, let us say, in organizational commerce or OC, or you can say in economics, for example, if you are studying marginal utility. So you will put marginal utility in the center. Then you can write one point, ऐसे one arrow बना के features. So features में you can make small points, again small connections. What are they? Diminishes as you consume more and more. Then inverse proportion or inverse ratio, whatever, and all these things. It is very effective to learn a new foreign language also. You can write a lot of new words that you learn in a new chapter. The same thing you can do with your economics also. Whatever concept related to that chapter you are studying, you can write it down, and it helps you to summarize or review that entire chapter within a few minutes, like literally. I always use this idea and I find it very helpful. So a mind map is a tool for the brain that is capturing the thinking that is going on in your head. It helps you to think. It will help you to collect knowledge. It will help you to remember, to create more ideas. Mind maps can be created in many different ways, but all of them have the same basic points. And what are they? First of all, there is a central theme that is placed in the center. There is the title, the subject, a problem, or just a thought. And from the central theme, associations start radiating out. Associations directly from the central theme are called first level associations. For example, like I said, cake. So that will be your first association. And then uske baad sub ideas. What you want to make Elsa cake or a Snow White cake or whatever. Those are your second level association. The brain thinks by imagination. We all imagine things, right? For example, when I say birthday party, all those who have a birthday right now, they all are thinking how to celebrate it in lockdown, right? So our brain will immediately start visualizing things, and you can just jot them down however you want. When associations are created, connections are made. These connections are essential for remembering and thinking. Very important. Whenever you close your eyes and imagine about something, all these are images that are getting associated to this particular concept, and they are very important for remembering things. For example, I'll give you one more experience that I have had. When I was in 10th standard, we had this chapter on dams. All of the dams in India were covered in this chapter in geography. And one very common question that the SSC board often asked was, what are the uses of a dam, or what are the importance of having a dam in a particular city or state or whatever. So our teacher made us do this exercise, which was we had to close our eyes and think of a big dam. Okay, a lot of water is there. What will happen when there is a lot of water? First of all, everybody in that area, whoever has farms, will get good crops. Enough water will be there for them. Then what else will happen? People will have enough clean drinking water, so very few people will fall ill. Then what will happen? Tourist spots will develop near these dams. There will be big resorts, restaurants, name it. Then people will come there as tourist destination because people want to see how a dam functions. Then what happens when there's a tourist destination near water? There will be boating, fishing. So all these economic activities are also happening. So you see, just one dam is giving you so many ideas, right? So you can do the same thing to study with your subjects. Then one simple way to understand a mind map is that if you compare it with the map of a city. The city center is representing the main idea. Then the main roads will represent your key thoughts, and special images or shapes can be used to show landmarks of interest or particularly relevant ideas. The most amazing thing about mind maps is that you can put your ideas down in any order. There is no logical sequence to a mind map. Getting it? So a mind map summarizes information. Instead of sentences, ideally we use only one word or we draw some image. So this is what mind mapping is all about. Next is table. We all make tables when we make notes, isn't it? Especially when we are doing differentiation or when you're comparing more than one thing with each other, you will use tables. So I have used this image of English verb tenses, how you will do it in past, present, future, and then the 4 subtypes in each tense. So tabular note taking is a good technique if you need to summarize information that you want to compare, such as a debate with differing viewpoints, right? Like I said, tabulars are great to do comparisons or even to know the differences. Now summarizing the points in a table helps you to evaluate them, improving your understanding of a topic and helping you prepare for an essay or exam. So in short, in a small page or one page, you will be able to cover 4 or 5 topics in a table. Like we are seeing this verb tenses. This is a great way to summarize things in a table. Tabular notes will allow you to categorize information. So in different categories, you can put information. Using tables or tabular note making is a good technique if you want to summarize information that you want to compare, right? Summarizing points in a table helps you to evaluate them, improving your understanding of a topic and helping you prepare for an exam, right? So they are giving you different parameters. For example, simple tense may past, present, future may, what is the difference that is happening in the verb, you can notice. So this way tables are helping you to evaluate and improve your understanding of one particular subject or topic. Tabular notes will give you clarity and are a good deconstructing complex information type of a technique. So you see, if you put English tenses in a linear note format, it becomes more difficult for you to notice the differences. But if you put it in a table like this, it becomes so much more easier and deconstructed, like easier to notice the small differences that are happening in the verbs, correct? So this is the importance of making tabular notes. This is a great way to make tables, especially if you are making costing notes. Like in costing, they will tell you which option is better, find out. So to compare which one is better, you can solving sums in a tabular form is also an amazing way to show the differences. Okay, let us see the next one. Next one is flowchart. I don't know if you have flowchart in your syllabus at this point, but when I did CA, we had it at IPCC level in IT. So flowcharts are basically nothing but a diagrammatic representation of a process or algorithm. There are dedicated shapes for dedicated commands in a flowchart that you will know when you have it in your syllabus. I don't know if you have it right now. But let us understand what this flowchart is. A flowchart can be also defined as a diagrammatic representation of an algorithm, a step-by-step approach to solving a task, right? So it will give you steps in doing a particular thing. A flowchart shows the steps as boxes of various kinds and their order by connecting the boxes with arrows. Okay, so if I had to explain a flowchart in a simpler way, I would say that it is a diagrammatic representation. It is nothing but a diagram that shows me the various steps involved in a particular process. For example, let us say about cooking, let us say. So first I will say start. Then how will you start the process? Wash your hands first of all. Okay. Then you will give options. Are hands washed? Yes. Then proceed to cooking. If hands are not washed, go back to cooking, like that. Go back to washing hands, sorry. So next, agar hands are washed, then whatever, take a pan, heat some oil, blah blah. Next, उसके बाद what you are supposed to add veggies or tadka or masalas or whatever. The next step, let it cook or simmer or put a lid on, whatever. The next step, arrow, taste, है ना, adjust flavor, salt ठीक है, नमक ठीक है, sugar ठीक है, whatever you are making. Then if taste okay, then end. If taste not okay, adjust flavors. Like that you can explain a flowchart. Understanding? So a flowchart is a type of a diagram that represents a workflow or process. A flowchart shows the steps as boxes of various kinds and their order by connecting the boxes with arrows. Now what does this diagrammatic representation do? This diagrammatic representation illustrates a solution model to a given problem. Flowcharts are used in analyzing, designing, documenting or managing a process or program in various fields. Flowcharts are used in designing and documenting simple processes or programs. Especially important when you finish your foundation and you want to join a firm for articleship. A lot of firms have their introduction module or freshers module or whatever, it is known by different names. So this module is nothing but how to do the work related to a particular program. For example, if you want to do TDS returns, so they will put it in a flowchart form of way so that you know how to file those returns even if you have no help or even if you don't know how to do it from scratch. So flowcharts are a great way of summarizing a lot of information in a small way, and in a very sequential manner you will get to know all the information. Okay. Let us move on to the next one. It is tree diagram. Tree diagram starts with one item that branches into two or more, and each of which branches into two or more, and so on. The finished diagram bears a resemblance to a tree which with a trunk and multiple branches. Tree diagrams are particularly useful in probability since they record all the possible outcomes in a clear and uncomplicated manner. So basically a tree diagram is nothing but एक पूरा concept होगा and उससे related जितने भी probabilities can happen, you will put out information related to each of those एक के नीचे एक in minimalistic words in a form of a small diagram. Amazing way to learn audit, especially if you are learning it from Vivek sir. He gives charts, so it is an amazing way to learn audit. Then you can learn economics also through this tree diagram thing. It is really wonderful. A tree diagram is another pattern of making notes. It is a simple way of representing a sequence of events. Tree diagrams are useful for organizing and visualizing the different possible outcomes of a sequence of events. So all the things that you can, you can put it in a tree diagram. Typically, the structure of a tree diagram consists of elements such as a root node. For example, in this image on the screen, U sibling 1, sibling 2. But we are focusing only on U. So U is your root node. And it will have no superiors or it will have no parents. Then there are the nodes which are linked together with line connections. So you are connected to your mother and father through these lines in this image. These are your nodes or connections, or they can be called as they are your nodes. Then they are connected with these lines. They can be called as line connections, and branches, they represent the relationships and connections between the members. And finally you will have leaf nodes. They are members who have no children or child nodes. For example, your mother is then again connected to her maternal grandmother and maternal grandfather, and unke niche jo two things are there, so they have no other connections, so they are your leaf nodes or child nodes. They don't have any other connections. The use of tree diagrams is most often you do it to show family relations, isn't it? Family tree, whatever we call. I think family tree is an exercise for children in KG or something to know all about their family. Then they are in evolutionary science, you show the origin of species, how we originated. We came from apes, isn't it? So that entire process can be shown through tree diagram. And in business organizations, it is used for managerial purposes. Very important in production process, this tree diagram. You will know how which process is connected to what. So these are very important points in a tree diagram. Let us see the mechanics of linear note making. Okay, all the time that we studied right now was all about non-linear note making. Now coming back to linear note making. So linear note making was what? It was making notes on a line to line basis. So ek ke niche ek we were going to write. So linear style of note making moves down the page using headings, subheadings, bullets and pointers, and which finally lead to a very structured information. It has been seen that this form usually uses the Roman numerals to make subpoints, but it is not necessary. You can use any type of numerals to make your notes. Format of linear note making. So let us understand the format. First hota hai heading, which will be the central idea or the main idea of whatever information is related in that particular note. Then you will have subheadings, which are nothing but the subheadings are nothing but the features related to that topic, or it could be the advantages, disadvantages. These are all your subheadings. And then subpoints will be there, jo you will be writing under your subheadings. So let us see what is a heading. A heading is nothing but a suitable title, and it makes it easy for you to connect with the topic or subject of discussion for which the notes have been made. So basically, when you read the heading, you have to immediately know what will be the contents of those notes. Then you have to keep the title as short as possible. Obviously, you're making notes, you don't want to write big passages. One small heading is enough. Titles for notes have to be direct and to the point. They usually will answer the question, what is the article or text or report about? Then there is an example, careers in commerce, healthy living, social media, Bain, mutual funds, risks and returns. So your title has to be very concise and it should give you the entire idea of what that text or title or text or article is all about. Let us see the next one. Subheading, as the name suggests, is a subordinate division of the main topic. Under the subheading would follow details like subpoints and sub-subpoints of the subsection topic, which is part of the main topic. Like I said, let us take the example that you're doing sole proprietor, like I had said before. So, usme what will be there? Sole proprietorship is your heading. Then you will have the definition, which will be your subheading. Now, uske niche you will write 3 or 4 definitions from renowned people. Then you will write features. Now, features is your another subheading. So, uske niche again points rahenge, which are nothing but your sub points, right? So, this is the way linear notes are to be made. Then subheading example. So I have put this image, it is from your module. You can see it in the module for a better understanding. There is some issue, I couldn't like really edit it properly, but just to make the point clear, I have put this image. You can see it in your module. It will be more clear to you then. Then indentation, very important. I feel in any notes or any text that I am reading, if the font is very close to each other or if it is not arranged properly, it becomes very tedious to read that text, and I don't feel interested or putting in the effort to read it. So very important to align your text properly and have enough spacing between it. Even if you're writing, your handwriting has to be really clear. Use a lot of space, use a lot of supplements. The institute is more than happy to give you a lot of supplements. So don't hesitate to use a lot of paper. So indentation is nothing but the act of proper alignment and spacing of written matter is called indentation. In linear note making, indenting, that is shifting from the margin, is used to clearly indicate subheadings, subpoints and sub-subpoints. So indentation means leaving space at the beginning of a line of print or writing. What does indentation do? It offers a well-defined structure to notes, makes it readable and increases the objectives of the content. So basically, leaving enough margin is what is indentation. Very important. Makes the reading so much easier on the eyes, also makes it easier to understand, and you will feel interested to read. So use a lot of space, provide proper margin, especially important if you're using Word documents to write some article or make a presentation. Giving proper space and differentiating between what is a point and a sub-point and then sub-point is extremely important. So indentation is of utmost importance in linear note making. Abbreviations, acronyms or symbols. Okay, in your module they have given a proper list of symbols which I have not included in this slide because I wanted to save some space and also make it easier for you to understand, and also because that will enable you to read the module. So please go through that. Abbreviations, acronyms and symbols are used in order to save time and space. So basically when you're making notes, you want to write down fast and you want to make it quickly and you want to read it also at a much faster speed compared to reading the entire text. So abbreviations are nothing but making short forms of big words. Acronyms are nothing but, for example, let us say SBI, State Bank of India. So SBI, you're taking the first letter out of every word in that name. So these are acronyms, and symbols are nothing but making some design or some sign, signature to indicate a word or an action. That is called a symbol. Their use can make your notes easier to read. So symbols are very important. They will help your notes become small and easier to read. Summarizing the notes. Now what is summary? Very important. Sorry, a second. I forgot to share with you what are the different ways in which you can abbreviate. So you can use the beginning of words. For example, information, you can use info. Maximum ke liye we use max. Approximately you use approx. And these are the various ways. Then use the beginning of words with the final letter. For example, government. So GOVT we write, right? Then production, you will write product. PORD, and then N, production. So these are the ways in which you can abbreviate words. Then you will omit vowels, which we very often do when we are writing an SMS or typing on WhatsApp. In informal ways of communication, you can omit vowels. Then use first and last letter of the word. For example, MT is used for mount, or Mr. MR is used. These are the ways. Then shorten suffixes at the end of the word. For example, checking, you will only write CKG, or production, like I said, you will omit the TION and only write prod and N. So you will shorten the suffixes. Okay. So now I have shared the ways in which you can abbreviate. Let us move on to summarizing the notes. What do you understand by summary? A summary is nothing but a shortened or a condensed version of a longer essay or reading. It is not a redraft of the original text and should not be long. So basically what you are doing is you are shortening the entire text, and you are not going to redraft. It should not be long. It should not be as long as the original text. It should only be 25% of the original text. Okay. Your purpose while writing the summary is to give a basic idea of the original text, what it was about, and what the author wanted to communicate. So basically, a summary is a shortened version of a text. It contains the main points in the text and is written in your own words. Very important. It is a mixture of reducing a long text to a short text by selecting the relevant information. Okay. So you have to reduce the quantity of the text, write it in your own words, very important. And you have to select only the information that you think is relevant or you think is important. A good summary shows that you have understood the text. So basically, you are asked to write a summary to check how much understanding of what you have read is the aim of asking you to summarize anything. There are three important techniques for making a summary. First of all, selection, then second is rejection, and fourth is substitution. It is not there on the slide, but I am explaining. Selection, for making a summary, what you have to do, it is a very important thing to select the main idea, select the keywords and the special terms in the source of the whatever you are reading. They help in getting the idea and making the summary. So when you read a text, underline all the keywords, underline all the main ideas that you think are important. This process will be called the selection process in summarizing the notes. Then you move on to rejection. What is rejection? Rejection is the process of removing all the unwanted and not so important sentences while making summaries as note making. Then substitution. What will you do in substitution? In this, you will you can replace some sentences with the sentences of from your vocabulary or from your understanding. Then you can combine different sentences to form one sentence, and you will reduce the length of the summary. Okay. So there are three processes in summarizing the text. First is selection, second is rejection, and third one is substitution. Very, very important. Now how will you summarize? So to use the information in the given notes, first of all you will carefully select the theme of the passage. Then read with who, what, when, where, why and how questions in mind. Very, very important. Do not rewrite the original text. Don't write whatever is given to you as it is. You are supposed to use your own language, own words and your understanding to make a summary. Leave no scope for confusion. You have to be able to show the reader that you have understood what the writer is saying in your own words. There should be no confusion. Do not include any unnecessary or repetitive sentences. So if there is anything which is being told in the passage repeatedly, write it once and rest of the times you can just omit it. Do not include quotations, metaphors and other figures of speech. So if any metaphor is there in the passage or if any comparison is there, you have to omit it. And you have to logically link each section with the other. You have to prefer to write short, simple and clear sentences. Try to cover maximum points and reach a conclusion if it is required. So these are some points that I can share about summarizing the notes. There are some more on the slide. So let us read. Do not add or subtract any piece of information. If you think it is important, do not add or subtract. Don't make assumptions. So don't assume something if it is not specifically mentioned in your passage. Don't make any assumptions. Use short and crisp sentences as opposed to detailed and long ones of the original content. So you make sentences smaller by using good quality words. For example, if there is a word that's if there's a sentence that says the apples were very tasty and delicious. So you can just say the apples were very appetizing. A good way of saying both, right? So you need to have a very good vocabulary to summarize the notes and make it short. So these are a few points that I can share for summarizing the notes. And with this, we complete your note making chapter. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that's it for this video. Thank you.